said, he is playing the more of the mono green style ramp deck, basically just splashing red off of a crag and a basic mountain to facilitate Keswick Wolf Run. He has Dungrove Elder, which is actually a card that your partner in crime helped put on the map a couple months ago.
Oh yeah, he loves his Dunny.
In the hands of his mono green deck. And then we have 4 copies of Green Sun Zenith and sort of the usual cast of characters. Viridian Emissary, Isig Slimes, a couple copies of Primeval Titan, Strangle Root Geist, and Dungrove Elder, a singleton Daybreak Ranger, and actually a single Molten Tail Masticore, which is a card that we have not seen any copies of show up this weekend.
Spicy.
Yeah, a little bit of spice. I was trying to get that guy to work for a little bit, but I could never find a deck where he was quite what I was looking for.
In mono red, he was pretty good for that one short period of time. I remember playing him in a mono red deck.
Unfortunately, he's competing with Koth for the most part, and they're too similar, and Koth's a little bit more efficient. And then on the left-hand side, we have a ramp deck that's very similar to the style that Brian Kibler used to win Pro Tour Dark Ascension about a month ago. He has a bird and a Thrun, 3 Solemns, 4 Hunt Masters, 2 Inferno Titans, and 4 Primeval Titans capping out his curve. A singleton Batterskull, Green Sun Zenith, Whip Flare, and then 4 Slag Storms, 4 Spheres, 4 Rampant Growth, and 4 Galvanic Blasts. So much more of a traditional style. We've seen a lot of sort of the mid-range red-green beatdown decks that top their curve off at Hunt Master and Hellrider. This is much more of a derivative from the decks that we saw at the finals of Pro Tour Dark Ascension. And also traditionally have a very good matchup against the sort of mid-range aggressive decks like the one that Gabriel Willson is piloting.
So you think Eric's got the edge here?
I think yeah, absolutely. I would want to be on his side of the table. Although it looks like he's in the process of resolving a mulligan, which shifts things a little bit.
Yeah, and you can see Eric on your left in the white hoodie. Gabriel is on the right in the red T-shirt.
So how much? I guess I don't know the distinction between judge manager and I guess someone who's like the head judge in an event. So what are kind of the differences with your responsibilities?
Well, as the head judge, you're in charge of making your staff into teams, making sure that tasks get done, handling appeals. Unfortunately, sometimes you have to handle disqualifications if they thing pops up. It's a little bit different. In judge manager, you're more kind of it's more of a TO role where
sure.
you're just kind of catering to people, making sure people are well fed, rested, and things like that. So.
All right, so a good start for Gabriel over here. Turn to Strangleroot Geist. We'll see if this Sovza, hopefully I'm not pronouncing that right. He has a turn 2 ramp spell, a Rampant Growth.
I think it's actually D'Souza. I think that's a Souza.
Oh, okay. So again, one of the reasons that the ramp decks traditionally, this is a Zenith for 2 before combat, presumably getting another Strangleroot Geist.
Would imagine so. And he enters play tapped and attacking.
Yeah, ready to go right away.
Just like Goblin Guide.
So one of the reasons that the ramp style decks traditionally have very good matchups here is because Willson is not really going to do anything to disrupt his ramp. And Primeval Titan or Inferno Titan very easily go over the top of anything that Willson can do. Willson doesn't have an especially fast Goldfish, and he has no meaningful disruption other than 2 copies of a Sig Slime that can act as a Stone Rain, but he's very unlikely to be able to cast in a Sig Slime before D'Souza, I'm going to just keep pronouncing that, mispronouncing that, goes over the top with one of his 6-mana threats.
Right.
So just an attack with an Inkmoth Nexus and no follow-up ramp spell for Eric that turn. So a pretty innocuous turn.
I can't quite see Eric's hand. It looks like there's a mountain in there. And
another Zenith. We're going to be dialing up another Strangleroot Geist.
Players who signed up in standard winner box number 19.
All right, so we're down.
Your event is about to start. Please come up
Eric
to the
gets knocked down to 8.
Stage. Players in standard winner
it's
box
a pretty
number
aggressive
19.
start for Gabriel, but
A pretty good start here, and more importantly, there's no threat of Eric having a 6 mana and then one of his big plays next turn.
Right, and even if Eric has a Whip Flare, it only makes it worse.
Yeah, he can't Whip Flare. He can't Whip Flare right now. We can Batterskull, however. So now we're going to be put to the test here. Oh, he's going to Dismember the Germ. That is a Let's see, how many are we? That's a singleton dismember right there. So now not even Primeval Titan or Inferno Titan get him out of this spot.
Oh.
So I don't know. Eric may be drawing dead here. You could have, I suppose, 2 Whip Flares if he's even playing 2. It looks like he has only a singleton main.
Yeah. Ooh. He drew a Galv Blast, looked like.
Yeah.
But that still doesn't quite get him there.
Not doing a ton here.
There's Wolf Run.
Certainly neither of the Titans do anything meaningful here, so.
I mean, I'm pretty sure he's just drawing dead. Looking at his deck list, he's just got Titans. He's got Huntmaster. Doesn't do it.
Huntmaster plus a bird lets him block out of this turn.
Whip Flare Huntmaster would actually do it.
Well, he's a mana short of that. Yeah, so I guess it has to be Huntmaster plus bird, or Huntmaster chump block with Nexus. We're not looking at exciting plays here.
Well, he could have the Huntmaster and then Galv Blast one of the.
No, we're just gonna Any play that he can have that turn just allows him to like keep his head above water for 1 turn.
Yeah, still not good enough.
Yeah, still not getting anywhere. So we're gonna go to the sideboard here. Willson has 2 copies of Active Aggression, which are excellent here. Naturally, opponent taps out for a Primeval Titan or Inferno Titan, you just steal it. Even though he's just basically all on forests, even stealing a Primeval Titan can be +2 to a Dungrove Elder, and Inferno Titan is obviously an excellent target for a Active Aggression. Other than that, he doesn't really have any action. Yeah, he has a bunch of expensive. He has like Wormcoil Engine and Batter Skull, none of which he wants. Eric's deck is way too fast for that kind of stuff. So we're basically, unless he wants to bring in Naturalize for Sphere of the Suns and the Batter Skull, we're looking at basically 2 copies of Active Aggression coming in. I would imagine that he's going to cut his 2 Batter Skulls, since again he has to be the fast deck here. The long game definitely doesn't favor him.
I agree.
Then on the other side we have not a ton of action. Another Whip Flare, which seems like normally you associate sweepers as being good against mono green aggressive decks, but Dungrove Elder is immediately out of range if you go forest. Strangleroot Geist obviously is not ideal to be Whip Flaring either. He may want, I guess maybe he wants 2 copies of Beast Within. I don't know.
I think the Garrick's might be
Garrick's
good.
fine.
Big Daddy Garrick.
Yeah, he has 2 copies of Garrick Primal Hunter, and yeah, so I would assume Willson has a main deck Wretched Bomb, which I assume is going to be hitting the bench here, and Daybreak Ranger's pretty bad too, but yeah, I mean these are pretty marginal upgrades for both players, other than the 2 copies of Active Aggression, which could be a big ace for Willson.
Yeah, well, we'll see if Gabriel can get off to a fast start like he did.
Yeah, and Eric's turn 2 Rampant Growth, turn 3 attack you with Inkmoth Nexus Pass. Not exactly the start he's looking for there.
No. Now, if you were Eric, do you think you might have played that a little bit differently?
Well, I don't know.
I mean, we didn't quite get to see everything that was in his hand, but
right. I mean, if he kept like lands plus Rampant Growth plus big play, there's pretty much no way you can mulligan that hand, even if you don't have anything to do on turn 4, because you have a ton of draws, and even if. I mean, obviously, your ideal play is Solemn on turn 3, but even if you just ramp again, then you still have your 6-mana play on turn 4, which is not a hand you can mulligan. Like you're not going to do much better than that with this kind of deck. So, I didn't really see anything on his end of the play, and like obviously, just chaining Strangleroot Geist means that your Whip Flares or your removal spells aren't going to be doing anything. So
right. That card is so good.
It is good. It's pretty innocuous because it's just a guy that attacks for 2, but obviously just immune to removal and super efficient and a good recipe for a tournament level card. So, how long have you been living in Roanoke now, working with Star City?
In 5 to 6 minutes.
Top
2 Grand Prix finalists. We'd like you in the feature match area in 5 to 6 minutes.
We moved to Roanoke in June of last year, and it took a little bit of getting used to, especially on Todd's end. When we first got there, he was like, "Oh, I hate this place. I have no friends. Nobody likes me." And I'm like, "Just give it a chance." And he finally started dragging him out of the house, and he started meeting people and making friends. And now he's like, "I can't think of anywhere I'd rather be." And I guess making a big move like that. He's only lived in Alabama his whole life, so it's a little rough. Like I've moved around a lot when I was a kid, so I'm used to kind of picking up and
Sure.
finding my way around new places and meeting new friends, and I just like to be generally friendly.
Yeah.
So and to be honest, like we still see a lot of our old friends. We try to make it to the Southeast tournaments a lot to go see our old buddies, and we keep in touch. So it's Roanoke is not a bad city. A lot of people say, oh, it's just a downgrade. I'm like, even though the city is kind of small, it's the people there that really make it awesome. And we have a lot of awesome people that live in Roanoke.
I mean, that's the same place I think that's the same thing where it is anywhere. It's like pretty much any environment can be made awesome if you're surrounded by the right people. And I can definitely sympathize with Todd. Like when I moved out to California, like I had lived just in the same town in New Jersey my whole life, and moving to California was jarring. And it's basically the same story, except that like Todd sounds like he's happy in Roanoke, and I still dislike California. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah,
the work takes you where the work takes you.
Fair enough. Well, he's been doing pretty good work lately.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I'm certainly very proud of him.
Yeah, he's had a bunch of good tournaments.
I hope he keeps it up.
Yeah.
Because he's very, very happy. So.
Bashed me in round 2 of the Invitational last week. Still a little sore about it. It's okay.
Oh well.
So it goes. All right. So no turn 2 Ram spell from Eric.
And see if Gabriel will lead out with the Strangleroot Geist. I don't think I see one in his hand.
He's thinking quite a while, so it'd be unlikely it's a Geist because his deck doesn't have a lot to do on turn 2 except for Zenith for Birds of Paradise is pretty much his only other 2-mana play. Or Ratchet Bomb if he for some reason kept that in his deck.
Why?
So not quite sure.
What?
Oh, Viridian Emissary.
That guy.
Sorry, yeah.
Let's see. It looks like.
So if he was taking that long for about it, he has to be weighing that against Zenith for 1. Like Strangleroot Guys is so much better that I had to assume that's the only play he could be debating if he wanted to ramp with a bird.
Right.
So Rampant Growth from on Terra 3 from D'Souza.
Just trying to sneak a peek into Gabriel's hand. I think I see a Batter Skull and a Rootbound Crag.
Players in booster draft number 49. Your event is about to start.
Oh, is that 2 Batter Skulls?
Please come up to the public.
He has 2 Batter Skulls and a third in his sideboard.
49.
Yeah, there's 2 Batter Skulls in his hand.
Batter Skull would not be where I would want to be in this matchup.
No.
It's going to be chump blocking a Primeval Titan.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was Zenith for 2. He was mulling over there.
Okay.
I assume this is going to be a Strangleroot Geist, and he's going to attack for 4. Very aggressively.
Enters the battlefield, tapped and attacking.
And there's a Galvanic Blast.
At least he gets to come back for more fun.
Yep.
But I imagine Eric's probably got something like a Whip Flare.
Yeah, or he just already has his mana committed for turns 5 and 6. So this is the only spot he has to cast that spell. Like if he's going, Batter Skull into a Titan or something like that, then you might as well cast the Galvanic Blast now. There's Daddy.
There's the Big Daddy. And he's gonna.
I assume we're in beast mode here.
Grab a token, set it out. And Gabriel draws a forest.
Very important for him to kill Garrick, like basically right now. If Eric has any of his 6s, that means Garrick gets to basically just gas him up with a new hand. So it's very important for him to be able to kill the beast this turn. It doesn't appear to be in the cards, as it were.
And Eric decides how to block.
Yeah, if he wants to trade with the Strangleroot Geist or if he wants to just eat the Emissary and let him ramp, he's going to trade up.
Yep. I think I like that better.
Yeah, it depends what he's worried about from what is that?
Oh, looks like I think that's the other Garrick. Innistrad Garrick.
Well, it's it's a checklist card. Okay. It's like, I understand having some
Garrick Relentless.
I understand customizing your own cards or whatever, but
Well, that actually worked out pretty well in Gabriel's favor.
Yeah, he's still in a ton of trouble if the Sovza has any of his 6s, but the way that he's tapping his mana here, sort of. We're looking at a hand of Slagstorm,
Huntmaster,
Infected.
Ow! 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 I think he's probably gonna drop the Huntmaster here,
Yep.
unless that's a, or I can't. Yeah, it's a Thrun. Okay.
Thrun.
Yeah, I think that's a good play too.
Yeah, sure. Thrun's fine. It's not as best against the mono green deck because it can kind of attack through and kind of go over the top of, but it is definitely good insurance against active aggression and just untargetable. And so looks like we're gonna chump attack and allow Eric the choice of taking 2 or ramping up. Eric seems pretty committed so far to not allowing that emissary to die, but he's gonna let him ramp up now.
Goes and gets a forest. Make that dunny bigger.
Yep. Still have not seen one yet.
He's got another forest in his hand. I think he's probably gonna drop that Batter Skull.
Yep. I mean, it's in your deck. You might as well rock it.
But if I'm not mistaken, Eric earlier drew a Naturalize, so I don't know if that Batter Skull is gonna be sticking around.
Yeah. It's also sort of just like locked out by Thrun anyway, so even if it were to stick, it's not going to be doing a ton.
Michael Peterson and Sahar Shenhar are in the feature match area. The finals for Grand Prix Salt Lake City are about to begin. Those of you that are not in a match and interested to watch, I suggest you come on over and watch the finals of the Grand Prix.
So Eric mulling over his options here. He's actually kind of on a reasonable... There is a reasonable plan here of just holding Thrun back on D and letting the Nexus do some work here. But he's got he's got inevitability on his side because eventually he can just find one of his 6s. And that should be enough to comfortably win the game off the back of the Nexus. But he does not appear to have found one just yet.
And
There's a Huntmaster.
Goes, ow!
I believe Eric was mulling over there whether or not he wants to leave up 2 mana to regenerate Thrun, and just or add a poison counter to Willson and take the Batter Skull hit. And he seems content to sit back, which makes a lot of sense because like time is on his side here. As the game drags out, Eric's got a bunch of huge draws in his deck, and Gabriel has fewer. I say that obviously as he...
That's a huge draw for Gabriel.
We have a green Primeval Titan here that I assume is going to be dialing up a Keswick Wolf Run. Yep, and an Inkmoth Nexus.
Ooh, those pesky Titans, how they change things
so
quickly.
Yeah.
I still think Eric's
If you had to guess which one of these guys was sort of a straightforward attacking deck and which one was a ramp deck based on board, you would be guessing incorrectly. And the issue here now is that like Batter Skull plus Wolf Run plus Nexus means that like Eric's actually in danger of just getting poisoned out in one strike. Like he might have to chump and then just die. So before where it looked like he had a lot of inevitability, now he's under the gun to muster up something quick.
So he's got one card left in his hand, I think.
Yeah, and Eric is just not. Both of his draws have been pretty poor. Both games. It's funny. I thought Willson had actually just no shot in a game that dragged out like this, but he found his Titan first, and now things have shifted.
And those are huge game-changing cards.
Yes,
like
they have a habit of doing that. So the Huntmaster is going to flip. He's going to shoot Primeval Titan for 2. What this does, it creates a huge disincentive for Willson to attack with this Titan because that then Thrun can block, regenerate, and kill the Titan. So unless he's willing to spend his turn moving the Batter Skull over to the Titan, this should hold it off for a turn.
Considers his options. Is that a Dismember in his hand? I can't tell.
Yeah, I can't tell. It's tough to actually see. Often the foils on camera are very difficult to identify because there's the glare is much more pronounced.
I just saw the Phyrexian mana symbol, so.
And Wilson's deck has a lot of foils.
Shiny
Just
cards.
Mono foil aggro.
I like shiny cards. I don't like shiny cards on Moto though. The little animation just.
Oh, foils were never my jam. Obviously, puts his hand down as we zoom in. Very helpful.
I think he has a card in his hand.
Yes, or 2 or 3. There we go.
All right, let's see.
That's a batter skull for sure.
And
Is that a?
I can't tell.
Yeah. We can confirm a batter skull. That is it.
That could have been the Phyrexian mana symbol I saw. So.
Right.
And it looks like Eric's kind of fiddling around with his forests. Trying to decide if he wants to.
Well, the big decision, the big decision here is just whether he wants to move the batter skull over to Primeval Titan, which makes it way more efficient for him to attack, or if he's just on the plan of like, well, I can just nug him out very quickly with Nexus plus Wolf Run. So it's just if he wants to spend his turn moving the Titan upstairs, which to me seems pretty reasonable. The only issue there is like he does risk a Wolf Run off the top plus the Nexus that Eric has, kind of lethaling him out of nowhere.
Right. And he's thinking.
Not lethaling, but
sure.
Significantly altering the clock.
I think he's going to go for the Nexus.
Yep. He's moving Batter Skull over to Inkmoth Nexus. And is he willing to offer up the Titan?
I don't know if he is. No?
Yep.
Yes, he is. Goes and gets.
Probably 2 more copies of Inkmoth Nexus would be my guess. He has 3 in the deck.
Yeah.
Yep, he's going to get his 2 more Nexuses. Thrun's going to block.
And regenerate, I'm sure.
Yep.
And Eric's going to go to 5 poison.
So is Wolf Run off the top lethal? I don't believe it is. It's 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, it's not lethal.
Yep. Goes to regenerate. Looks like they're having a bit of a discussion.
Is there a disagreement on whether priority is passed or something? Oh, I believe that Eric's saying because he... I think Wilson is arguing because he
said,
registered the poison counters that it's too late for him to regenerate his Thrun. And a Viridian Emissary.
I don't know how I feel about that, but...
So, yeah, what are your feelings on something like that?
To me, it kind of feels like there is a bit of shortcutting there.
Sure.
But I mean, I can also see in Gabriel's case where they do need to be playing clearly, but I don't know. It's a tough call, and I'm sure the judge at the table will probably.
Yeah, the problem is from our perspective, we don't get to hear the conversation.
Right, yeah, we don't know what was said. I mean, if Eric was just simply writing things down and trying to do things in one fell swoop,
right?
But it could have been different. So.
Yeah, if Eric says, all right, I'm up to 5 poison, you go up to 23, then at that point you can make an argument that, like, well, we've already passed the point where you have a window to regenerate. Right,
so.
Yeah.
And,
there's a Slag Storm, and Gabriel Willson wins 2-0. Eric, ramp deck never ramped into a single assault.
No.